26 minutes past 7. Welcome back to Sunrise City. We're coming to you live from Abeokuta venue of the Ogun Investment Forum for 2014. We're joined now by Oluwande Muoyo, who is the Commissioner of Budget and Planning. She's also the Chairperson, Investors Forum Planning Committee. Morning, and thank you for coming on today.
Thank you.
Well, yes, indeed, we do know that this will focus on agriculture and urban development. But then, for those who may not, give us a background to all of this. Why this second investment forum? Did you have so much resolve from the first one to warrant a second one?
As you may know, we have a 5-point agenda on our mission to rebuild. And that agenda is focused on education, health, agriculture, housing, and rural development, rural and infrastructural development. In our bid to fulfill the mission, we realized that there's a lot of, the government cannot do it alone. We need the intervention or the partnership of the private sector. So we set up the Investors Forum in 2012. Our first edition was in 2012, and that was called or tagged Ogun State Open for Business. And that's the Investors Forum is a platform where we invite the private sector or the general public to see the initiatives that we have put in place as a government, and also to showcase the opportunities that exist in the state. It's a forum we hold every 2 years. So this is the second edition. The first one, yes, was very productive. We had an opportunity to showcase all the opportunities, to showcase the opportunities in the state. And at that time, we focused on the entire 5-point agenda. This time, the focus is on 2 items on our agenda. One is agriculture, and the other is urban development. And the reason behind it is that we see agriculture and urban development, especially in terms of construction, as 2 areas where we can quickly provide job opportunities for our people, increase wealth, increase the value chain, increase, the impact on people in general.
When you talk about bringing attention to what you've put in place, does that speak to the policy framework or the infrastructural development?
Both. The policy framework, because it's like what we did in 2012, we had offered a lot of incentives, especially in the area of land acquisition, so that investors could come into the state and participate by acquiring land in a manner that is easy to acquire. And because Ogun State has a lot of land, a lot of companies took advantage of that. So, and then in terms of the infrastructure, we have expanded the road network so that the aim is to open up the rural areas such that, with the opening up of roads, the farmers are able to transport the produce more easily. And if there's infrastructure in a place, you don't have that urban drift from the rural to the urban areas. The idea is to have people stay where they are, and development comes to them.
Is that working so far?
Well, it's a long-term project. It's a long-term plan, and we've started. And
how long are you looking at when you say long-term?
We'll start progressively, but let's look at a 4 or 5 year development horizon. Yeah.
So you started 2 years ago with the Investors Forum. I'm sure that quite a number of investors must have shown interest. We don't know how many eventually, came in and started, and how you intend to build. Because I know that every year you'll be seeking to attract a lot more. But how do you intend to keep those who are here happy?
We had a lot of interest shown. Hundreds of investors were interested in taking advantage of the incentives. And as things happen in life, of course, we have to go through a process, and about 46 companies have set up shop in Ogun State, and more are in the offing. So it's really being able to keep those people. There's a lot of raw materials. If you look at agriculture, for example, the Ogun State has different soil types, which supports most crops that can grow in Nigeria can grow in Ogun State. Many people may not know that. Many investors may not know that. So there's the opportunity to get your raw materials locally here and feed into the entire value chain. So that's what we are building on, and we have the people, we have the natural resources, particularly land. We have 16.4 million hectares of land, and of that, 70% is cultivable. So
far, how many has been taken up?
Well, 32% of that, 70%. So there's still ample.
What comes to mind now is the proximity of your state, Ogun State, to Lagos, and entry and exit point for a lot of people. So we can also say it's also close to the ports. And now we're talking about agriculture. What scale of agriculture are we projecting from the state?
Okay, the point you make is actually one of our key driving points, that there is a market. The commercial capital, Lagos, is a ready market for produce. And when we're looking at not just producing, but also adding value so that we can export, there's a market, and Ogun State is a gateway, not just to Lagos, but to the entire West African coast. So there's a market out there which, is just waiting for the supply, which will come from Ogun State.
Are we thinking of having any kind of assistance from the government to big-time farmers and even small-time farmers so that they can move from subsistence farming to real agri-business?
Yes, we are doing that. In fact, one of the topics at today's, at the 2-day forum, is to see how we strengthen agribusiness and how we can improve the yields for smallholder farmers. So they're not just subsistence farmers, but then they go into mechanized farming and into large-scale production and be able to produce goods and add value to the point where it is exportable. It meets international standards. So we're looking at smallholder farmers not remaining as that, but as large-scale farming, plantations and all of that.
If I could take you back to the point you tried to make about land. En route here, there are those who say, look, they've got issues with their CFO. So what has been done about trying to clear, if there's any backlog, and ensure that people actually get this as fast as possible?
Okay. I'm not sure if you're aware of another initiative that we launched in December, and that was to say that I'm recognizing the fact that a lot of development has gone on. That's called the homeowners charter, and it was in recognition of the fact that a lot of development has gone on. Well, we opened a window where homeowners could come in with their documents and at reduced prices, we're able to fast track the issue of certificate of occupancy. It's still ongoing, but we're actively working on the issuing of those COOs. So the offer closed in March, whereby people could obtain the forms, and they're submitting the documents, which we are also processing to make sure that the homeowners are real homeowners, not just you built a house, but you actually have the documents of the house, and therefore making housing more easy to transact business in housing.
Urban development is something that looks vague sometimes when you just talk about it. So I don't know what your government has as a plan. Definitely from agriculture, you see it will snowball into getting jobs for some people. Yes, but what's the blueprint? Because we've always seen talks like this, and for the average man in Ogun State or neighboring states, the question is, how does this translate into something that I'll get to see and hold?
Okay. there's a housing deficit in Nigeria, and we have seen this in, well, we're close to Lagos. A lot of people who work in Lagos actually live in Ogun State and they commute. And so we're saying to developers, housing developers, that there is a market. You know, if you go to the neighboring towns, they're literally bursting at the seams. So part of our urban development program is not just on housing, it's building of new cities, small cities that have the modern infrastructure, that people can live, work, and just have a lifestyle that is, that would compare to what they would get elsewhere. So it's not. So we didn't want to narrow the focus to just housing. We're looking at developing cities, gated communities, etc.
One of the things that strikes one when you talk about, living in Ogun State, working in Lagos, is infrastructure, especially transport infrastructure. It's also something that comes to mind when you're talking about selling finished products to, Lagos State. You're looking at the road infrastructure and you're wondering, is this the only infrastructure which is going to be taking all of these things down to Lagos?
Yes, the road is probably the easiest form of transportation to tackle in the to start with. So this is what we've done, and expanding the road network and improving on the quality of the roads. But rail has been seen to be the most effective way of transporting goods, cargo. But that involves a lot of investment. We have that in our plan to have a rail link to Lagos and to outside of Ogun State. But that's, again, longer term, but we start with the roads, because when people see the roads and they've seen what we've done, then it's easier to attract investors.
Roughly how many investors are you expecting today?
Today, we're expecting over 1,000 people. Clearly, not all of them would be investors, but we have sent out invitations, not just local investors, foreign investors, and we believe that we will get, from the turnout, from the registration and the inquiries we've got so far, we will have a large number of investors.
All right, Oluwando Muoyo is the Commissioner of Budget and Planning, also the Chairperson of the Invest Fund Forum Planning Committee. Yeah.
Okay. No, I just wanted to say we have the people we have on the faculty, but
okay. No, I think we'll get across to that.
Yes, sure.
Thank you for coming on this morning.
All right, then.
Okay, we'll be back in just a moment. Please join us again.